Through the chair, it's when we are doing our entries for the counties. For Nakuru, we have not, but we promise that that's what we are going to check on. And in case of any misclassification, we are going to raise the issue. And in our subsequent discussion, I think the same will come up. Thank you, Chair.
But OAG, you could have also helped us by telling us that, for example, under purchase of office furniture and general equipment, if 25 million was reported there, was misclassified there, what was this 25 million used for?
Thank you, Chair. What we are querying here, the expenditure was acquisition of asset was 2.8 in note 9. Included in the amount was 38 million relating to the purchase of office furniture and general equipment. However, the amount included in the balance of 25, which was in respect of items that were misclassified. So in this case, it may be, because we don't have the details may be are in our management letter, these are more related to repairs.
So maybe since Governor, your officers also agree with the observation of the Auditor General, and that's why they issued this warning. So, for example, this 25 million, which was misclassified under office furniture, where should it have been classified?
I'll have the CC.
Yeah, please proceed. What ought to be the account on which it was charged, or what was it? What is this 25 million that you put under office furniture, which should not have been under office furniture?
Chair, I think it was an error during preparation of the financial statement, and that's why
it can't be an error because it's an expenditure. You spent the money on something. So what is it that you spent on, and then you lumped up in that account? Because we need to know, was it on tea? Was it on insurance? Was it on shere? Or there was nothing, so 25 million was posted there to balance numbers. You see, Auditor, that's what you need to help us understand. Was that 25 million posted there to balance the accounts? Or that 25 million was spent on something that went to the county?
Okay, Chair. Thank you, Chair. The 25 million, as we have queried, it was among the 38 that was reported. However, all these details we normally give in our management letter, and because it's not specified as outside the purchase of furniture, I believe it's normally related to repairs, and repair is maintenance. So the account for acquisition of asset is different from the continuous expenses operations.
National Treasury?
Thank you, Chair. Treasury take notice that there is the aspect of incompetence on the part of the officers who are handling these documents, in that somebody is not able to actually know the right item to charge. And the budget is itemized. There is a reason why it is itemized and even approved when it is itemized. And I also take notice that we've already discussed about training cost of 93 million. So maybe the county could be training or the wrong personnel, or maybe this personnel who are handling these finances requires more training so that they can be able to know the relevant item to charge.
Senator Adula?
Chair, I just wanted to know whether there was a loss of funds. Number two, whether the officer who did the misclassification is still within the same department.
Governor?
Chair, and by the way, Chair, let me just point out, when I woke up this morning, I think I had pinched my nerve on my neck. I just want to put that out there. And so that's why I'm having a problem turning around like that in case I'm
Yeah, so you're turning like a truck.
You can see that. I could see in your eyes, you're looking at me a bit funny. But so let me have Dan answer this question kindly.
Yeah, Dan, as you answer the question, tell us that there was an actual expenditure, which then was misclassified to purchase of furniture. What was that expense on? That's what we want to know.
Thank you, Chair. Now, if you look at purchase of furniture, is actual acquisition, but there are repairs on this furniture, which you use the repairs and maintenance vote. So the error was they capitalized part of these repairs into the furniture acquisition. That brought the misclassification.
That has not addressed the question. It is very simple. You are giving us a lecture on accounts.
Yes.
Senator Dulu has just asked, was there loss of funds?
No, there is no loss of funds.
Was it lawful to post domestic expenditure on foreign foreign travel?
Now, what happens when you come to domestic and foreign? At times when you are going on foreign, part of the foreign travel is domestic, because when you leave Nakuru to come to Nairobi to the airport, you are still on domestic.
Wait a minute.
So
you
times,
have already accepted
yes,
that it was a misclassification.
Yes.
So your explanation is moot.
Yes.
So is that lawful?
It's not lawful to misclassify.
Yes.
Not
So
lawful.
if it is not lawful, yes, is it possible to identify the officer who did the misclassification?
Yes, it is.
And has administrative action in form of a warning, reprimand, training been taken on that officer?
Yes, on receipt of the Senate recommendation, we forwarded the documents to the relevant department. That's the...
What we have here is a letter addressed to all accountants.
Yes.
I don't think all accountants are incompetent in Nakuru. What we needed you to deal with are the ones who made the 3 posting errors.
Yes.
Why do you want to portray all your accountants as incompetent? I don't think a county with a city would be in that situation. So I think the long and short of it is this. Accountability cannot be global. It must be individual.
Because I asked, let me just maybe ask that question again. That 25,771,536 was misclassified and put under purchase of furniture and general equipment.
Yes.
It was misclassified.
Yes.
Now I'm asking, this money was not used to purchase furniture.
Yes.
What was it used for?
It was used on repairs and maintenance.
And do you have the documents here to show that it was used for purchase of for repairs?
For now, we did not carry those details, but I promised to give the committee the
My gut
details.
instinct is telling me this money was just used for balancing.
Yeah, because that's the impression one gets. Senator Wambua.
Chair, you know, there is a big problem when people try to talk too much when they're answering a simple question. Odudo, that's your name, right?
Yes.
Was taking a very dangerous path, Chair, until you stopped him. Trying to explain the difference between domestic travel and foreign travel. And was trying to tell you that for foreign travel, there is always a component of domestic travel. That if you are coming from Nakuru going to London, then the domestic part is from Nakuru to JKIA. Then from there, it becomes, after the runway, then it is foreign. You see, when we say there is need for training, Chair, this is exactly what we are talking about. Because if that is a confusion then that we have, you will find a lot of those things that you're dealing with. You're buying furniture, you're spending money on furniture, spending money on repairing the furniture, but you say, because this money is being spent on furniture that had already been bought, it is also part of acquisition of furniture. It's a serious problem, Chair. And the decision as to whether money was lost or not cannot be Odudo's to tell us. It is the auditors who tell us whether money was lost. Because they're not carrying out audit here.
I agree. Auditor, you want to make a comment before I ask the governor to comment, then we give directions?
No, Chair.
You
Fact of,
have had the last challenge
Yeah.
from Senator Wambua, that if whether money was lost or not, cannot come from the client. It needs to come from you.
Yes, Chair, I can make a comment on that.
Yeah?
Yeah, from our appendix, I believe it was repairs that they have stated. And this one can only be corrected by doing a journal, which they ought to have provided us with a journal entry to correct the financial statement, which, from our view, we felt that we'll look at it as we do the final accounts, as we do our audit. Thank you, Chair.
Governor, before, sorry, Senator Chirage, you wanted to make a comment? Or we
No,
ask
I
the
think
governor
the
to-
OAG has just answered. What
Your final comment before we give the way forward on this?
Oh, thank you, Chair. I have gotten what exactly it is that you would have wanted to see. And part of what we shall do when we get back there is more, maybe even retraining of these accountants. Thank you.
This matter, even though the OAG has marked it as resolved, we shall keep it in view. We'll advise the OAG to keep it in view. We have seen some effort around administrative action. It is not sufficient. It needs to be specific. It needs to be directed to the accounting officers or the accountants who caused the problem, so that we don't scandalize all the accountants. Secondly, the journal entries ought to be demonstrated, and OAG, you'll be checking on that. And finally, you know, it's easy to say the governor is a CEO, so she knows everything. But I think we have sat here long enough to know that there are certain issues that we must put squarely in the hands of the officers, because the PFM Act and regulations give them that responsibility. So, Mr. Odundo, from your demeanor, you don't look like a man who needs further training. Just apply your knowledge to ensure that the right thing is done. And when I look at the signatories to these financial statements, I can see that they were signed by a Mr. Joseph Malinda, who is a CPSK, who is a member of the Law Society of Kenya, and a Mr. Wilson Mungai, who is a member of ISPAC. So if people with such sterling credentials cannot render proper financial statements, then I think we are having a problem, because this then goes beyond training. In fact, that will then point to the suspicion about that 45.8 million being a balancing act, but OAG keep it in view. So those are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 7.
Yes, Chair.
What are the other?
The other, we move to lawfulness under paragraph number 25 on failure to establish departmental training committees. Management did not establish departmental training committees, which may have negatively impacted on the efficient management of training functions for the county executive. This was contrary to paragraph 1.2 of the County Public Service Human Resource Manual 2013 that requires the county to establish departmental training committees to manage the functions.
So that's also another HR-related issue.
Yes, and they provided quite a number of them in appendix.
Honorable members, because that's a policy issue, we might not need to go into a lot of details, but I believe that of our list of shame on wage bill, Governor, I think you are around 40% of total revenues. Where is it at? My numbers here indicate something around 40%.
Yeah, about there.
Which is above the 35% threshold. There was a special audit done by the OAG on human resource across the counties, and those reports have been tabled before the House. And if you're at 40%, you'll be one of those counties that will be calling to go through that report, so that we have a much deeper conversation on that. Because you can see the first two issues we dealt with were on training, training policy, and now we are talking of departmental what?
Training committees.
Yeah, so there seems to be quite a number of issues around HR, but I'm happy that there seems to be corrective action being undertaken in that space. So we can mark that as resolved, but we'll have to discuss your report on HR in Nakuru at a different meeting. The last resolved matter?
Sorry, the last one is on number 4 on internal controls on non-compliance with climate change regulations, which they have provided quite a number of reports on the same.
OIG, the last one was on?
The last
internal
one
controls?
is on internal controls, number 4, on non-compliance with the climate change regulations, which they have provided way forward.
Okay, climate change regulations. This is all to do with FLOCA and the Climate Change Fund, Climate Change Act. This has now been done. From your assessment, it has been done?
It's been done and they have provided. I was just looking for their next, so they are quite a lot.
Okay. So those are the only 7 issues that in your assessment have been resolved?
Yes, Chair, and one is partially resolved on pending bills.
On pending bills?
Yes.
Pending bills is a matter that would be kept in view. In fact, I think now that you are doing the audit, it would make more sense if you did a much more rigorous assessment on it. Even though if time allows, we might go into it and find out how you have taken action in line with our recommendations.
Thank you, Chair. Noted.
So those are the 7 which we have either ticked off or we have kept in view.
Yes, Chair.
So we are remaining with 38.
No, we had 45.
45.
7 addressed from our view and 1 partially.
Well, if it's partial, it's not addressed. So we are still remaining with 38 issues.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
But before you leave internal controls, there's a recommendation that we made, which if the governor has not implemented it, then we'll think that she's not taking the recommendations of the Senate seriously. The establishment of an audit committee. How, Governor, from your response, there is no evidence that you have established an audit committee. How would Nakuru, such a big county with a city, not have an audit committee? What is the difficulty in establishing an audit committee? Because without an audit committee, then internal control, internal audit is completely useless. An auditor or treasury, you will need to explain to us the importance of an audit committee in that context, because they don't have it, unless there's evidence that that has been established. Governor?
Thank you, Chair. We actually advertised for it last year, but when many of those who applied were not qualified, so we didn't have enough to constitute the committee. But we are back on the drawing board again, right? Oh, we already re-advertised again, actually. Yeah.
Is that part of your submissions on file? Because it was a substantive issue, so that we can see how you responded. Because it's not a casual thing, Governor. It's if you advertised last year and to date there's no audit committee, that is a serious violation of the PFM Act and regulations. Reverend, what is the importance of an audit committee so that we are not dealing with irrelevant things?
Honorable Chair and members, basically the importance of the audit committee is to offer assurance to the management that the internal processes they are serving the purposes for which they were intended.
Can you have an effective internal audit function without an audit committee?
No. It's supposed to actually appraise the internal processes, those audit committees, and their reports should give assurance to the management that all is well. Now, in the absence of the audit committees, you know that assurance is lacking.
OG?
Thank you, Chair. The audit committee is very, very key to the internal controls implementation, where they will both implement external audit reports, recommendations, the Senate recommendation, and even the internal audit functions. So it's a very key committee that will oversee, because it's independent from the management, and they will ensure that all these are implemented. Thank you, Chair.
Now, legal, just look up that section 54 of the Public Audit Act. So that, because we are now in implementation, we are not on audit. We said you need to establish an audit committee. You have not established an audit committee. There's somebody in the organization who has that responsibility. According to the Act, is it the CEC, Finance?
Maybe we can refer to the act, the actual act, Chair.
Governor, in your view, who takes responsibility for establishment of an audit committee? Obviously, you are the CEO, but functionally, who takes that responsibility?
I believe it would be the CEC for finance.
CEC Finance? Is the responsibility?
Yes, Chair.
Actually, sorry, Chair. I'm thinking they would have to be reporting to the governor,
Yes.
not the CEC.
But yes, Governor CEO, but there's some legwork that needs to be done in terms of costing the advertisements, etc., making the request to the County Public Service Board to make the advertisements. Who takes that original responsibility?
That would be the CEC.
CEC Finance, is that your duty?
Yes, Chair. And as Her Excellency has explained, we last year we advertised. The applications came in, but what came from the board is that majority of them did not have the requisite qualification and experience. And in July on 19th, we advertised. It went on the paper, and I'm here to confirm with the board where they are at as of now.
You have the advert here?
Yeah. Yes, it should be.
The one that you're citing?
Yes. Page 558.
Of which volume?
Second one. Volume 2.
So Nakuru, such a big county, cannot attract people to sit in the audit committee, and yet we have seen, did Isiolo, I think even Isiolo demonstrated that they have been able to constitute an audit committee. Not saying that Isiolo is small. Yeah, so if Isiolo can attract qualified people to the audit committee, I have a lot of problems believing what the CEC is saying, unless we get a report from the County Public Service Board.
Which volume?
Volume 2, page 558.
I was waiting for the comeback of Senator Dulo.
You know, you'd rather paper compliance than no compliance at all.
Yeah, and you know the alternative capital city of Nairobi is Nakuru.
And the future capital is Isiolo, as per Vision 2030.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When things are right in Isiolo.
So, members, have you seen the adverts?
Yes, Chair. It's dated 18th July
of this year.
Of this year, 18th of July. When did you receive our report?
Sorry, Chair, it's on volume 2, page 558.
Yes, you've seen the advert sent on 18th July. When did you receive the report of our recommendations? Because I think, Chair, it was tabled on 27th of March.
Yes, you may respond.
Yes, we received the recommendation in June of this year.
Okay, since we are now...
So, Chair,
you're complete.
Actually, 18th of July was supposed to be the date, the final date for receipt of the applications. So from July 18th, have you made any step? Have you interviewed? Because the whole of August, no action. You know, from 18th to 30th of July, 31st, nothing. August, nothing. Are you really serious? You want to form this audit committee? Governor, are you comfortable operating without an audit committee?
Through the chair, we do have a little situation there when it comes to the board, because their term ended on the 31st of July.
Which board?
My county public service board. So as much as it was closing on the 18th, the board has had no quorum. But the process of recruitment for the new one has been done, and I believe the names are now in the county assembly. So once we have a reconstituted, or once we have quorum in the board, then I'm sure whatever was on their desks and pending will be completed. So the delay may have been caught up due to the lapse in the time for the board.
Senator Lelegwe.
Chair, I don't think the governor is honest on this issue and the CC, because when you see that advert, it's titled the county government of Nakuru, and all those applications was...
We'll still maintain that that variance has not been addressed, but we will ask the two parties to attempt a reconciliation, failure to which this is a matter that will need to be investigated for purposes of prosecution. Patrick?
Thank you, Chair. Just to add on what you've directed, if they can give the bank reconciliation, let that bank reconciliation be supported by, so that we are able to see the individual transactions and the vouchers. Yes, certificate of bank balance has also been included.
Okay, you have gotten the point, Governor?
Yes.
Yeah, and please, let's be careful with this process, because once we go back to the House with the recommendation, we will expect that that recommendation is followed up, be it by the OAG or the EACC. In the time remaining, there are 3 issues we will deal with, and then we'll take a view on the remaining issues. We probably might have to organize another appointment, but there's a payment of court decrees, unsupported legal fees, project implementation, and something to do with the revenue system, supply, installation, and commissioning of the revenue management system. Let's start with under report on lawfulness and effectiveness in the use of public resources, the finding by the Auditor General under project implementation, where 1,721 projects were assessed. Auditor General, what was your general observation on the 1,721 projects? What was it that was unlawful and ineffective?
Thank you, Chair. We raised quite a number of issues under project implementations, where some projects were stalled, some were ongoing. But when you look at the documents they provided to us, it's a similar document, not identifying what is the progress of those reports, because they have just given us a status without actual committee recommendation, because we expected them, if a project is stalled or a project is still ongoing, we expected them to have a committee that goes round, know how much was allocated for this project, how much have we spent, what is the progress work, and what is delaying, which is not in any of their documents to support the progress of this stalled and incomplete project. And that one we can see in
If you, sorry,
pages-
Auditor, if you sum up the amounts queried here, how much are we dealing with in terms of stalled projects? Because I've seen point number 4 there where you're dealing with 7.4 billion worth of projects. So to put it in context, if you sum up what you've queried under point 1, 2, 3, all the way to 5, this is approximately 8 billion.
Yeah, it is 66 plus 56, which is almost 110. There's 95, getting to 200.
It's about 7.8 billion. We can round it off to about 7.8 billion
Sure.
in terms of stalled and incomplete projects. Governor, does that sound like the reality on the ground? That you've got stalled projects to the tune of 7.8 billion Kenya shillings?
Chair, not anymore now at this point. I think many have been completed. We did put in place an RRI team that has been very helpful in making sure that those that had stalled even for very many years, over 10 years and all that, have since they were prioritized, and that's what we have been working on. So I don't believe that's the position right now.
Is there a schedule here that gives us a project status update? Because the auditor says that whatever was presented really was an IFMIS extract. That
Chair, maybe if I can guide, they have presented it on page 261, 262, 263, and the comment is stalled for most of the projects.
Okay, so Governor, going back to your documents, the auditor has queried about 7.8 billion, which you say might not be the current scenario. In your assessment, what is the approximate value of stalled projects?
Well, Chair, first of all, the auditor is reading the project status, which is stalled. That's what it was at that time back then. But next to it is another column that's the status as of August 2025. And you can see stalled at finishing level now, work ongoing at 70%. And I want to point out, Chair, like you have said previously, because there's sometimes a lot of misinformation or out of context. You can see some of these projects were started in 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. So it's also an issue that I have had to deal with as a governor in Nakuru County. So when I've come in, I have not... for the first 1 and 2 years, I wasn't really able to do what I had myself wanted to do, but to really just work on stalled projects. So we are working on it diligently, and as you can see, from that column as of 2025, we are really on it, and you can see some of it because since since the award had been done, at this point you see contractors declining the jobs. So we've also had another very big issue of re-advertising and getting them going. But I can guarantee the committee that, as you can see, work is going on. You'll see on page 263, 97% complete, only painting remaining. The next constructor, drilled and capped and all that sort of stuff. So yes, there has been a problem. It's been an issue that I have inherited actually, but I'm diligently and consistently working on it to make sure that we...
Governor, help me at page 261 there. What is the status of that construction of a public toilet at Elementaita Trading Center?
What number is that?
At page 261, you will see it is, I think, fourth from bottom.
Elementaita, there. Public toilet via there. This was the one that they talked to us about.
What is that? What does that word mean? Is it a word?
Actually, what happens is sometimes when we go for the supplementary, as you know, in
what does that word mean?
They move the money to a different project.
I swear to God, this is the first time I'm hearing this word.
Yeah.
Called vermin. But
We learn every day, Senator. Environment. I guess maybe it's you heard it as environment perhaps before. Yeah. So they do
no,
change.
but even if you use that as a test case, a public toilet that cost 1 million, that started in 2019, 2020.
How does it stall?
We were with you here in the Senate.
I was in the Senate with you.
Yeah, so don't be defensive.
I would.
How does that stall? How does a 1 million public toilet? Sorry?
And sometimes also you could find that, granted, I don't want to say that for this specific one, we've had issues where perhaps money was allocated to, say, a toilet, and then you find out the land was not public, or the land had not been acquired. So you can't proceed because then it becomes an audit issue. But I don't want to say specifically. I would have to come back to you on that. I don't know why that happened.
And then
what we're not seeing, Chair, is the status of that project.
Correct.
Status of completion.
So now
Because
is
zero
it
amount has been paid?
Which one?
Zero amount has been paid for that particular project.
No, zero.
Amount. Has it started at all?
No, when it's fired, it means the money, it's not going to be done.
So why is it here as a stalled project? How can it stall when it has not started?
Because the contract had been awarded at that time, back in 20, when I was in the Senate with the chair. So the contract had been awarded. Maybe the contractor never took sight, right?
So is it
so why,
but no payments were done.
Why does it still appear then?
I don't know.
I mean,
but we are working on that. I actually brought on board when I came in because I realized a big part of my problem in the county is a lot of public money spent on projects that have not been completed. And we're talking about since 2010 even, way back. So I have brought on board a director here, stand up Patrick maybe, who is helping me with this sort of stuff where they go to the ground and every project, now not from the office, but they actually go and see the status, because you could also be given this and told it's completed and nothing has started. So we are now completely on top of it using this department.
The Governor, the actual status is it has not started.
No, it's not even going to start. The money has been wired.
Yes. So it is not stalled.
So how do you deal with that, OAG? How do you clean the books of the county so that these things don't continue appearing? And
but
then
before you clean the books, does it mean the community still need that particular toilet?
Yeah, because there's a public participation aspect.
I don't want to answer in a way that I could mislead the House, because I'm not sure about this specific one, because it could have even been that there was another toilet nearby, but somebody had put money for this as a toilet. So they ended up deciding, instead of the toilet, give us water in that public area. And they wired the money to do water. I don't know.
But I think, Governor, for the benefit of your politics and also benefit of the community, if the community still need that particular toilet, you can send your officer to check what is on the ground and then review and see 1 million is nothing as far as your budget is concerned.
So what do? You need to give another view exactly.
Does a toilet exist at Elementaita Trading Center?
They are private ones. Maybe somebody decided that it's better for us to use private facilities at Elementaita and deny county revenue.
Because what Senator Dula is saying is important. We are all practical politicians. You know, in a trading center, in a market, the traders would want a toilet. Now, if in 2019, 2020, they wanted a toilet, and it has not been done because it has been wired, I don't know how you explain that to the vegetable sellers.
But Chair, I mean, I don't want to make it seem so bad in the sense that maybe the toilet was taken away and they were left without a toilet. Let's remember a lot of this environment happens in the county assembly when they do the supplementary. And before the supplementary, they have to do public participation. So also because, and I would hope I am right, also because like you and I, they are politicians, I hope also Senator Dula, through the chair, they would not take out money for a toilet and leave that community without a toilet. So there may have been another toilet nearby.
But Governor, you're speaking in very vague terms. Maybe, I don't know.
No, because I don't want to answer specific to this one.
That's exactly our expectation. That when you come here, No. That when you come before the Senate, you are giving a specific. It's now 3 years down the line. Surely this is an exercise that should have been conducted in the first few years of your administration so that you get to know if we are proceeding with this project. If the money was sent to another one or something else. And I also need you to confirm. You can see that on that same page 261, there was construction of an ECD toilet at Giashonge Primary. There's another one at Ereri ECD. And your comment there, status as at August 2025, is contractor declined work. In all fairness, Governor, that's not a status.
Up to now. And does it mean the ACDs, they're not having a toilet? Where are they going to? Are they using bushes? And the school did not have toilets. So there was a toilet for male teachers. No, there was a bush for male teachers and a bush for female teachers. A bush for, let me not mention the county. I already mentioned it, okay. Yeah. So are you using bushes?
Yeah, which is what devolution.
Governor, maybe when as you design an ECD center, for example, do you put the classroom? Do you put a staff? Do you put? I know children are still young; they might need to take an afternoon nap. They could be somewhere they're eating from, and then maybe the issue of washrooms. And then, Governor, do you also have a feeding program? Because I know most of the counties, including Nairobi, they have what we call dish in a county, although wanadishi watu. So can you paint a picture on how your ICD looks like, so that we don't even need to come to Nakuru? What is the design of your ICD, and just finalize maybe if you have a feeding program, maybe like Uji or to ensure the enrollment to ECD classes.
Okay, before you respond, the officer you said you're brought in to help you on this, I want you to, as the governor is responding, work out, in this report of the Auditor General, is about 7.8 billion in terms of stalled projects as at the time of audit. In your report, you have indicated that 13 have been completed, that there's been some progress. Can you attempt to quantify what is the current value of stalled projects so that we can take a view on effectiveness? But Governor, you may respond first.
Thank you, Chair. And I'll have, if you don't mind, I'll have Patrick, who is that director, speak for a minute. What we did, and we started this at the close, actually sometime in the last financial year, his department and, or his directorate, sorry, plus staff from every department visited, went across the county, visited and got the status of all these stalled projects, but also sat and did like a workshop. I think we called it a workshop at that time, where including the MCA and members of from the executive, staff from the executive, the projects that were no longer viable, decided let's take them off our books, or do we add more money, or has another class been built since, and you know, that sort of decision, and then decided on what to do with that. They had a clinic, actually, that's what they called it then. And so when, through the chair, so Senator Sifuna feels I'm not being very specific, I feel I've been specific enough in, for example, in saying, say we vied. However, we shall do an addendum where we'll be able to give you what happened exactly when they vied. Where did that money go, or did it go to another project, or you know, that sort of stuff. As far as the toilets, it's one of the things that I'm very keen on for the ECD students, because many of them have been sharing toilets with the older students, so that you find these little babies are having to share toilets with those older kids, and it's not been very good. But when now we are building, and this is in response to Senator Cherargei's question through the chair, our model ECDs are really where we don't now just build, we came in and decided we don't just build a classroom. We don't just come in and build a structure like this and say, hey, Giashonge ECD, here you are. What now we do, it's a complete package. We do the classroom, we do the desks, we do chairs, or rather we furnish. We do the chairs, we do a toilet, we do a water tank and a water washing point with that ECD. On the floor, we do terrazzo and we do some nice painting colors so that it's attractive to these little kids. In addition to that, we have as a county a feeding program that is the fortified porridge. And indeed, since we started this program, it has increased our enrollment. I was at about 55,000 ECD students. We now have a little over 60,000. We had like 3 or 4 classrooms in some very hot area without much going on that had been closed. But once we introduced the porridge, the schools have reopened with kids coming. So it's really just helped in a lot of ways. And we are doing a lot of infrastructure in terms of these ECDs.
So,
let me have
back to your
Patrick,
officer.
1 minute. Yes.
The school feeding, I think she has responded, but we were on projects with quantifiable values. Maybe let's deal with that. And for your information, I've just logged into your PMS system that you have referred to here. And I can see that stalled projects are 0, varied projects are 0, vired projects are 0. So this does not seem to correspond or tie with the submissions that you have made here. But you may proceed.
Proceed.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, my governor. And I just want to appreciate also the committee and the chair. We want to say that this is a very good exercise to help us really paint a picture of what happens at the ground and the commitment of good leaders like our Excellency Governor. Like I said, my name is Kigunda, the Director in charge of Efficiency Monitoring Unit. And
Kigunda, go straight to the point.
Yes, when we came on board, we evaluated all the projects within the county, and we did an audit of which projects should continue, which ones should not, and which ones should be put on an RRI. And in a nutshell, what we have done, from what the Auditor General cited, the 26 projects that he had cited or she had cited that had not gone on or had stalled, out of those 13 projects have since been completed. And this, from your simple calculation, will represent a 50% completion rate. Based on what had been cited. So
50%. So are you saying that you've delivered about 3.9 billion in terms of projects?
Sure.
In terms of completion.
And that could be also reflected on our absorption. Based on the last year's absorption of what we absorbed from our development absorption fund. That can be reflected there.
Okay.
Yes.
For maybe Vice Chair first, then we give some certain.
Page 263, drilling of Arahuka borehole. The status of that project is incomplete. It has been drilled and capped. Are you there? Yes. Approval documents from WRA 6 financial year. When do you expect this project to be in use? Because the people of Arahuka require that water. You have drilled it, but you've not supplied that water. There's no value for money. When do you expect to complete it?
This is cited in this particular financial, and actually this particular project is on an RRI. So within the next 100 days, this project ought to be done.
Could we then, because I'm seeing in your response, you have referred to CPIMS, tried to log on to it. I don't know whether this is test data or this is a real data, because in some cases it's zero.
Your Excellency, the Chair, that system is what has been put on and is on a pilot.
When do you expect to go live?
To go live within 100 days. It is
100
on
days
also
from?
now.
No,
From
no,
September,
it has to be 100
September.
days from a certain milestone.
1st September. Our rise begin from 1st of September. Actually, we already in the days of
So
our.
by 1st of September, you'll go live.
We count the RRI period starts from 1st of September. So within 100 days, we'll be live.
So when will that be?
That will be end of November.
End of November. November.
Sure.
Auditor General, around November, you'll be concluding your audit?
Yes, Chair.
So keep this in view. I think what is impressive is that you are trying to automate this, because you've got so many projects that you cannot maintain them on some manual Excel worksheet. So this is good. I hope you have also looked at what counties like Makueni have done. I think they've built platforms around this. Even Moranga have also demonstrated something. So we can allow you to work on this so that we can have a more accurate report. When your officer says you've delivered 3.8 billion in terms of projects, it must tie with what we are in terms of implementation of projects. Keep that in view and give us a better report.
Good, Chair.
I don't know if it's only for the OAG chair or for the executive to give us percentage completion, a better document to the audit with percentage completion, which you can then compare next year.
Yes, I think that would be important. If you went the system route, I'm sure it would give you that. But whatever route you're using must be able to give OAG the proper picture of status. There are two issues relating to legal fees: payment of court decrees and unsupported legal fees. Auditor General.
Fees. Let me just take it up again. Review of records provided indicated that several legal cases filed in court against the county executives were decreed in the interest of claimants, and amount of which 66.4 had been paid, leaving a balance of 88 million. Further, the county executive had not disclosed the contingent liability of potential court award in the financial
the provisions of Regulation 41, 2, and 3 of PFM Regulations 2015, county governments, the county government should prepare and submit to the control of budget a payment plan prioritizing payment of pending bills as a first charge on the county revenue fund, failure to which the subsequent quarter budget releases will not be done.
So that was to deal with the 88 million,
Yes.
which was outstanding.
Yes.
Okay, proceed.
The second one, the county executive should make provision in its budget for contingent liability in respect of the legal fees pursuant to Regulation 25-2E of the Public Finance Management County Regulations, County Government Regulations 2015. The third, the county executive utilizes the office of the county attorney to provide legal advice and court representation. The county should provide evidence of compliance with the County Attorneys Act within 60 days of adoption of this report.
Since we read both findings, was there an additional recommendation under unsupported legal fees?
Yes, there was one. The Office of the County Governor undertakes administrative action against the responsible officers who fail to provide documents to the auditors at the time of the audit. In accordance with the Section 156. Of the Public Finance Management Act 2012.
Okay, I noticed the response by the county on both is similar. So, Governor, take us through the action that you have taken.
Thank you. Honorable Chair, the payment plan has been prepared and submitted to the Controller of Budget. The main issue is lack of budget allocation for settlement of these pending bills, which are mainly recurrent in nature. Appendix 2.1. The county executive will in the future make the county government. Currently, the cases are over 500 in number, whereas the attorneys or the advocates in the office of the county attorney are only 5. Therefore, due to the overwhelming number of cases, the office is constrained and may not be able to handle these matters and thus therefore outsource external legal counsel on a need-be basis. The office is nevertheless pursuing a budgetary allocation to employ more legal counsel to support its operations.
Direct recommendation to disclose your contingent liabilities. Could you demonstrate that that has been done? It flowed from the observation of the Auditor General that further the county executive has not disclosed the contingent
A number of these court degrees might have arose even from the municipality area and the previous administration. Most of this was maybe non-attendance of an advocate, and therefore the matter was entered in absence of a legal representative. So have you recruited the county attorney, the solicitor, and have you given them the necessary resources to ensure the functionality of the office of the county attorney, so that you don't need to spend a lot of money in terms of hiring the legal services? I'm not saying this so that lawyers do not get job, but of course, I remember, Chair, you remember when the Queen's Counsel was being brought in from abroad. And at that time, we thought it was necessary because we had more qualified legal counsel. And I know Nakuru would not have a short of serious legal mind. So what have you done in compliance with the County Attorney Act to ensure that you don't spend a lot of money on hiring of law firms that will eat into the
evidence of court attendance, fee notes, and monthly performance reports? The committee recommended that there should be administrative action on the person who was supposed to supply the documents. What type of administrative action did you prefer on that officer who did not provide documents?
And whether the documents were provided to the satisfaction of the auditors. Because that administrative action would be recommended in the case of late submission. I don't know, auditor, whether they were provided to you, even though late.
Even when you look at the response and the attachments, what we have here is different items which are, maybe they can explain how they are related to.
I think you can leave it there, because if they are not provided, then the recourse is not just administrative action, but investigation and prosecution. Governor?
Thank you, Chair. Through you, Chair, let me start with Senator Cherarke's question on whether we have a county attorney and a county solicitor and other attorneys so that we do not spend too much money on legal fees from hiring outside firms. Yes, we do have a county attorney, and yes, we do have a county solicitor, and their department also has a few other attorneys who support that department. However, as Senator said, when I was in the Senate with him, we thought this would completely cure the issue of having to bring in outside firms. But now, as I sit here, I can tell you that the kind of cases that we have in the county, we are sued so much as a county government, but I'm sure that's not just us, but across the board, even national government and all that. But beyond that, actually, I also have some serious issues on, say, land grabbing, where maybe there's public land, you're trying to put up an ECD as we were talking, and you can't because somebody has grabbed the land, so you have to go to the court. So there's so many cases that the numbers I have are not able to take care of these cases and not drop the ball. But we are going to add more budget so that we can hire more lawyers in-house, so that then we reduce to very minimal getting lawyers from outside the county government. So that we are working on that. On the supply of documents, I know there was a question on how we identify these lawyers. I believe there's a framework agreement on lawyers who have been pre-qualified, and when an issue comes up that for whatever reason,
the government is providing documentation on how you identified them. providing the documents, not an explanation. It is the documents to show how the lawyers or the law firms were identified.
And the documents have been identified in this audit question. I mean, it's a very straightforward thing.
Sure.
We are not questioning you on the rationale.
Okay.
Because that's a policy decision, which as a CEO you can make. And I think recently there was a report of a committee that said it is okay, you can have the county attorney and the solicitor and in-house staff, but there would be specialized matters that can allow you to outsource.
Yeah.
But there are certain procedures. There's an approval at the CEC level. There was the issue of the Attorney General's.
But Dan, I think you can handle that question.
Do we have the county attorney in the room? This matter was raised when the auditor was in Nakuru 1 year ago. This matter was raised in the management letter. This matter was raised when the report was tabled in the Senate at the end of the last year. This matter was considered when you sent your written responses. Here we are looking for action. It cannot be that we need to provide more time. if the gentleman says the documents are not provided, what stops this matter from being an ESCC investigation? ESCC, I think you need to take this up because it's a simple thing. 22.6 million paid, but the relevant documentation asked by the Auditor General was not provided. If they're provided now, they'll end up being forgeries.
Chair, I had requested that the legal counsel goes through that provision of the Public Audit Act because we're also in a learning cycle, and so the officers will also learn.
Okay, that's section 62 or
62.
62 of the Public Audit Act?
Yes. A person shall not B, without justification, fail to provide the information required under this Act. C, without justification, fail to provide information within reasonable time that is required under this Act. D, submit false or misleading information. E, misrepresent or knowingly mislead a member of staff of the Office of the Auditor General or professional actuary acting
Do your
Yeah,
closing.
we were in DEFCON, and we saw a lot of hills in your place also.
Yes.
Kuna milima mingi huko
There are
kwako.
many mountains that
Yeah.
should not be touched.
Yeah, okay.
You are to do your closing remarks.
Okay,
but,
so maybe development without peace. There will at least be peace. So finally, Governor, we wish you well. As a former senator, if you succeed, some of us will have a chances of being elected governors in future, before the second coming of Jesus Christ. Chair, we wish you well, travel safe, and I thank you and I yield.
Okay, Senator Dulo, we are on closing remarks, if any. If not, then fine. So, Governor, your remarks in closing. Even though before you make your remarks, I see a slight disconnect between your technical team and the Office of the Auditor General. So maybe, OAG, what is it that you expect the county to do? Because some of the conversations we're having here could be avoided if there was better synergy.
Thank you, Chair. I think we had a discussion with the team even late yesterday evening, and we agreed that once we get a certificate, the issues are raised, they just walk into our office. We have a precisely what did we mean by this? Because sometimes the auditor raises something, they say we provided. So we'll tell them exactly what we provide, and I think going forward we are going to collaborate. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, so your officers need to do the right thing so that when you come here, Governor, you're not talking about some public toilet that was supposed to be built in a market. There are so many emerging policy issues that I think you'd feel better utilized, even us would feel better utilized to have those conversations with you. E-procurement, UHC workers. I mean, there are so many things that we've not been able to discuss because you're trying to trace 330 million between the cash book and financial statements. So your officers must do the right thing, must talk to the Office of the Auditor General to ensure we have a different conversation. But let be on record with your closing remarks.
Oh, thank you, Chair, and thank you, members. Perhaps better collaboration with the Office of the Auditor General, but we'll do that together going forward. Yes, there are definitely some issues that are historic, which keep reoccurring, and perhaps sometimes as a county, we are not able to provide documentation because it was many decades before our time. That's no excuse. The office, we occupy office, we take responsibility. So whatever it is that we need to do, we shall do on our end. And very gently answering that question of Senator Cherarkei, land grabbing really is a big problem in the county of Nakuru. I'm sure I'm in many other areas, but most, I don't know why Nakuru. And sometimes it's really a headache because you want to do development, you want to do it quickly, but you are held back because of the nature of things due to this land grabbing. Sometimes I get a bit frustrated by my fellow Kenyans because I believe that if it's public land, even we ourselves as Kenyans should not be letting people occupy that which could help us when we put up hospitals, when we put up markets, when we put up ECDs and that sort of stuff. I mean, the same thing you see, you put up some street lights and you see people climbing up there and removing those bulbs. What are the rest of the Kenyans doing when you see somebody take out a transformer that helps your area with electricity? Why do we allow that? So I also sometimes feel a bit frustrated because I feel as a people, we also should be a bit more on the lookout for these things. But as a governor, what I have done in terms of land grabbing, I've been quite bold. In fact, I've had a lot of issues because what I have done is decided that whatever you have grabbed and belongs to the county goes back to the county. And in repossessing it, then comes the court cases, which then we have to fight. And in doing so, by the way, we've gotten quite a few parcels of land reverted back to the county government, either through the courts and generally, by the way, in conjunction. We do this in conjunction with the ESCC. So for that, I'm also grateful, and DCI and other national government bodies. We have had some very unfortunate events in the last beginning Friday and Saturday, where we saw some clashes between the Nakuru and Narok borders, where we call Mwisho wa Lami, or in Mount Narok. And we have worked very closely through the nights, through some of those nights with the national security team and the county security team. We have been able to restore order, and part of that included even having curfews so that this does not continue to happen. So as of right now, we have restored order, but it's still volatile quite a bit. And back to why you hear us saying, which has also been reported by Senator Cherarkei, we guard peace seriously, because we can have no development if we don't have peace, and it's not even worth it not having peace. So thank you, Chair, thank you, your committee, thank you, Secretariat and everything, and my team from Nakuru County Government, and we shall continue to make sure that we do better. Even by the next time we see you around, we'll do much more better, because we want to make sure that county or public money is used properly, and that we are a transparent county government. Thank you very much, and have a good afternoon.
Well, in closing, I will reiterate what I've said before, that if your technical teams could do the right thing, we would not have, this is like a ream of paper in the form of a financial statement and audit report. Perhaps it's the thickest we have seen across the 47 counties. So please, there's no glamour in having the thickest audit report or financial statements. Because if they did the right thing, we would be asking you about the impact of UHC workers on your bottom line, and whether, if you are to discuss rationally, whether it is the right move that the government has made. Leave the politics aside, leave our partisan positions aside. Is it financially reasonable to transfer the UHC workers to the counties without funds following the workers? And unfortunately, we've not had that opportunity. Counties are complaining that nothing is happening because of e-procurement. The PFM Act gives the Treasury power to define and prescribe a system for efficient management of financial affairs in county governments. Does that provision extend to e-procurement or to county revenue systems? That is a conversation we should be having at the Senate. We would have talked about the housing program, which I think Nakuru is a beneficiary. We would have talked about markets. We would have talked about financing for cities. And Governor, you recall, I was a chair of the devolution committee when the proposal for Nakuru to be a city came. And we scratched our heads on whether Nakuru was ready. And looking at your receive of revenue statement, even though I have no regrets for being the chair who brought the report to the House, I'm a bit worried for Nakuru as a city. In your revenue statement, you used to collect about 3 billion or 3.3 billion, but that included 1.5 billion as hospital fees. If you take away the hospital fees, which will now be ring-fenced as FIF, you are left with about 1.8 billion. And part of the criteria was to check whether the municipality had the capacity to collect own revenue that could sustain its services. Are you able to deliver services to Nakuru City with 1.8 billion? Definitely not. And remember, this is 1.8 billion collected from all corners of Nakuru, not just the city. So let's ensure that we reduce the bureaucratic and clerical issues that come to the Senate so that we can have that conversation. But in conclusion, please go back and have a conversation with the CEC, have a conversation with, I think there's something called a PFM technical working. There's something, the PFM, where the CEC finance chairs, a public finance management technical working group or something within the county. You have serious inadequacies when it comes to HR because you don't have a county public service board. You have serious inadequacies in financial management because you don't have a chief officer of finance and you don't have a qualified accountant heading your treasury. You don't have an audit committee. You don't have an approved internal audit charter, and that renders your internal auditors ineffective. You have gaps in legal, and you have just demonstrated that your county attorney should have been here, and I don't know why they are not here, and yet legal issues were part of what we are dealing with. So please go back and fix some of those things. If you fix them, your work will be lighter. And so we'll be able to have a better conversation at the Senate. We will adjourn the meeting, and I think when we retreat to write a report or to consider the responses, we will give directions on whether there is need for another appearance or whether we can rely on the written responses or whether the Assembly can deal with whatever is remaining. The meeting is adjourned. We will reconvene on notice.